Wednesday, we're going to have a test. And the instructions are right here for the test. You're going to have to log on and, matter of fact, I'm just going to go here. So on the assignment today, at the end of the assignment, I talk about this. So you must get on Zoom with your camera on during the test. So while you're testing, you're on Zoom with your camera on. And so, you'll just click I understand. If you can't make it during your period, you need to contact me. Now, what I will say is if you're used to getting on during this time, then I will let you take it during this time. So I consider 11:15 to be your period. And so if you come on during this time, you don't need to tell me. So either make it like Amias, I think you would be during third period. So if you can't get on during third period, but you can get on right now, then you don't need to tell me. But if you can't make it to either one of those, then you need to email me so that we can figure something out. I will not be doing anything at 4:15. Today, we're going to do something that's kind of weird, and we're going to just jump all over the place today. I'm going to practice what I preach, and one of the things that I preach is on test day, you always go find the easy questions. And so to me, to do question 1 and then move to question 2 and then move to question 3 is actually kind of the worst ways that you could possibly test. Well, right now, this is hard. Okay, hopefully I'm going to teach you something today that will make this a little bit easier. But right now, I consider 1, 2, 3, 4 all to be hard. So we're going to skip those. 5 I would consider hard. 6 is a word problem. Now, if you've not been working with me, you probably think 6 is hard. But 6 is actually easy. And so I hate word problems. And so I look at a word problem for something that will make it easy. And if I can find something that makes it easy, then I'll do it. If I don't see anything to make it easy, then I would probably guess C on it, okay? And that's another strategy is anytime we have a problem that's really hard, we're always going to guess C, all right? And you're not even going to stress over it. It should change the way you take tests. You see a really hard problem and be like, all right, I get to guess C on this one. And so, I really, when you're testing, don't ever just sit there and stare at a question. Either you know it or you don't, and you're going to move on and go find something you do know. All right, so question 6, anytime we see the word varies directly, this is an easy question. So on your test, I'm going to tell you right now, there are 2 questions, and there will either say varies directly or directly proportional. The word directly is kind of the key thing there. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at spelling poor. That's why I hate to read. Proportional. Okay. Now, anytime we see one of these 2 words in a word problem, then it's always going to be 2 fraction bars equal to each other every single time. The first fraction, you put the first 2 numbers that we see. So as we're just kind of glazing over this problem here, we see 90. So we're going to put 90 there. And then the second number is 35. All right, after you put the first 2 numbers you see right here, we need to label them. And so this is just feet, 90 feet. So I'm going to put an F there. Now, this looks like feet, but as I keep looking, it's actually feet per second. So I'm going to label this FPS. Hey, Kevin, would you do me a favor? Would you shut that? All right, now the whole purpose in doing this is that now I know anything that's just feet goes on top. But if it's feet per second, it goes on the bottom. So I look at this last number here, and it says feet per second. So feet per second has to go on the bottom because that's where all the feet per second go. Then we're always going to have one number missing, and that's X. Now, I don't know if you remember doing this from last year, but this is now called the butterfly method. And a lot of my students in class are like, oh, yeah, I remember doing this. So that's why we consider this to be an easy one. If you don't know why this is called the butterfly method, it's because it looks like a butterfly. So anyways, the butterfly method, we take the 2 numbers that are together. So when I circle these, I got one with the letter and then 2 numbers together. So you take the two numbers that are together and you multiply them together. Now, I want to show you really quick a place where you can go to do, 1 second, I'm trying to get rid of that. All right, I'm going to go open up a new tab, and I want you to type in Desmos calculator. Now, I didn't know this, but there are actually two different calculators, and we actually want to bring both of them up. And I will show you why. So here's the first Desmos calculator. And so like on test day, you're going to want to have both of these handy. Desmos. So Desmos is D-E-S-M-O-S. I will try to have a link on test day to both of these. So all you got to do is click on the link. And then we want the scientific calculator. Okay, so I'm going to try this one real quick just to show you why. So first off, we're going to go 90 times 7, and both of these should be able to handle this. So you're going to click on this show keypad, and then we're going to do 90 times 7. Hit enter. So we get 630. So the rule is that we always multiply these and then divide by the number with x. So we're going to divide by 35. So I'm going to go 630 and then hit the divide by. Now notice it turns it into a fraction, okay, over 7. And we're going to hit, no, I'm sorry, not over 35. 35 is with x, I apologize. So divided by 35, and we hit enter, and it's 18. So the scientific calculator would do the same thing. I'll show you when we use the scientific calculator here in a second. Okay, so right there. So on number 6, what I need you to write down is this. Do not write down the actual word problem. And I know we're going to go all over the place today, so it's okay that this is out of order. So on your paper, just go 6, and then write this down right there. And then, so when we multiply these, we got 630 over 35 was equal to 18. And so this is our answer right here. X is equal to 18. So we want that right there to be easy, okay? So we've done this for the last 2 assignments. So if you haven't done the last 2 assignments, then you might want to go do them and get some practice in, because on the test, when we talk about doing the easy ones, this is one of the ones we consider easy. We desperately need this one right here, okay? All right. So if you need me to hold on a second at any point, then put something in the chat room. Other than that, I'm going to erase this. And so I kind of watch that chat room, and then if I see somebody writing something, then I'll pause for a second. But hopefully we've gone slow enough. Everybody has that written down. All right. So I'm going to clear this, and we're going to keep looking for more easy ones. And so... Oh, sorry, I forgot to hit something. All right, so we're going down. I don't think 7's easy. That looks really hard. I don't consider 8 easy, even though we do it a lot in here, okay? I still don't consider it easy. We'll come back and do it later maybe, but it's not easy. All right, I consider 10 to be easy. So when you're looking at why would I consider 10 to be easy? I see that directly, varies directly. So anytime we see that, so like I said, there should be 2 on your test, and your test should be 12 questions long. And so kind of like today and what we're doing today, you may have to skip 5 or 6 questions in a row before you start finding easy questions, and that's okay. You shouldn't be stressing about it. How many easy ones should there be out of 12? 4 or 5, okay? So I know that sounds weird that I'm only asking you to go find those 4 or 5 easy ones. But if you're not good at the other stuff, that's how you pass the test. You go take care of all the easy ones, those 4 or 5 easy ones, and then when we come back, we may end up guessing C on everything else, and you can pass the test that way. All right, so what's our rule here? So once we realize that it varies directly and that we got 2 fraction bars equal to each other, the first 2 numbers go in this fraction. So I see 13. And I see 4. All right, after we put these numbers, this is kind of the critical part. We've got to label them. So 13 was A and 4 was B. This simply tells me that now all the A's go on top and all the B's go on the bottom. So when I see this one, I should know where this 10 goes now. So B's all go on the bottom right here. So we're going to put 10 right there. And then whatever's missing, we put X. All right, so now we multiply the two numbers that get circled together, and we're going to divide by the number with X. So we're going to multiply by 13 times 10, which is 130, and then we're going to divide by 4. All right, so I'm going to go back to this Desmos calculator real quick, okay? And I'm going to delete these two real quick. All right, so we're going to type in 130 divided by 4. All right, now, if we want a decimal, which on these, we do want a decimal, so then this would be your answer. So we're going to hit enter. But sometimes we want a fraction. And the problem is, I don't think, I'm kind of looking here to see if there's any way to switch anything. There's not. This right here will only ever give you a decimal. And that's why we have this scientific calculator. Is this scientific calculator will allow us to do fractions, okay? So this calculator will do decimals, so that's what we want. But if we ever want a fraction, then we're going to have to put it into the Desmos calculator, or the scientific calculator, okay? All right. So the answer here was 32.5. And there will be a basic calculator on the test. So if you just need a basic calculator, you can always use the one that's on the test as well. All right. So like I said, I know we're jumping all over the place, but this is how I would test right here. Okay. So I'm going to clear this unless somebody puts something under chat. I'm going to clear it. All right. So we're still looking. Anytime that we have an equal sign and all of the same letters, okay, you can go to this Desmos calculator right here, the graphing one. Okay, we got to go to the graphing one, not the scientific one. And we can type in this problem. Now, I know y'all probably can't see this problem, but since I've got to type it in. So on your test, I'm trying to think of what might be the easiest way to do this. You're probably going to want to write the problem down on paper. And that way you're not going back and forth like this. Okay, so you're probably going to want to write the problem down on paper. And then we're going to type it in. Now, be very, very careful. If you don't type this in correctly, then it doesn't matter, you know, about the calculator. You're going to get the wrong answer. So make sure that you type this in correctly. All right. So I'm going to type in 6 parentheses 0.3x. And I'm typing this in exactly how it looks. It has to match exactly. That means every parentheses, every equal sign, everything matches perfectly. So 22 plus 4 parentheses 0.4x minus 7. So see this right here, and then know that it's this right here. Okay, so I typed that in perfectly. So as long as you type that in perfectly, then we can hit enter, which here is not the equal button. This is the enter button. All right, so nothing shows up. Okay, so when nothing shows up, we are going to zoom out, and keep zooming out. Ah, right there. Do y'all see that line right there? What number is it hitting? -60, and that's going to be your answer right there. If you need to make sure, like you're like, well, maybe it's really close, maybe it's not exactly on. Once you find it, go zoom back in. And you can see here, -55, all these are, it's still on -60. And so, yeah, the answer is definitely going to be -60. It's wherever it crosses that axis right there. Okay. So we'll go back to here. And on question 11, because we put this in the calculator, all you got to write is question 11, x is equal to negative 60. Now, I do want to show you how to fill this out. You don't have these bars on your paper, so I'm just going to tell you. On your test, it's going to be online, okay? And I'm going to show y'all what this looks like, but they don't have gridables on the online test. They have these boxes. This first box is only for a positive or a negative symbol. You cannot put numbers into this first box, okay? Then you can put the answer in any of these boxes, okay? So at negative 60, you would put negative and then 60. If it was a positive 60, you don't have to put the plus sign, but you can't put the 6 here. The 6 would have to go here and here. So on your test, because it will be online, you are going to have some questions that look like this. And so this first box is only for a positive or negative sign. And then after that, it doesn't matter if you put 60 here, you can put it at the end. Doesn't matter. I just put it, just the very next thing. Okay. But if you put 6 right here, it should light up red and it's like, no, you're doing this wrong. It's going to be counted wrong. So we got to make sure we understand this first box is only for positive, negative. Okay. All right. So this one right here is going to be a little bit tricky. So this looks like it should be easy, and it should. But I'm going to give you some multiple choice options right here. So your multiple choice options could be 5. It could be negative 5. No solution. Or D, all real numbers. Now, unfortunately, y'all's calculator doesn't do a very good job on this. When y'all get the Inspire does a really good job here. What I can tell you is when you see no solution and all real numbers, there's a pretty good chance that's going to be your answer. And so when we plug this into our Desmos calculator here, so we see an equal sign and they're all the same letter. Now, this only works if they're all the same letter. So if there's an X and a Y, that you can't use this calculator. But they're all the same letter, and we're going to go plug this in. So really quick, I'm going to go to this Desmos calculator, and I'm going to plug this in real quick. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Because the Inspire calculator at this point would actually give you the answer. And so we're going to hit enter. Oh, sorry, I got a whole bunch of boxes up. Close a few of these things real quick. All right, so we're going to hit enter. And we don't see anything. So we're like, okay, well, we go zoom out. And I'm going to zoom out and out and out. And there's nothing there. And so whenever you zoom out and there's nothing there, then this is either going to be no solution or all real numbers. So anyways, at this point, it's really tough to tell what the answer is. Like I said, when you get the Inspire calculator, it will tell you the answer is either no solution or it'll give you a way to know that it's all real numbers. And so at this point, I would just guess no solution. Okay. All right. So these are what I consider to be the easy questions because you can type these into the Desmos and get your answer. Okay. I think if you're working out by hand, these questions are really tough. So I just personally, I wouldn't work them out by hand. And if you get, like I said, a no solution or all real numbers, it's just tough to tell. So I typically would just lean more towards the no solution on most of those. Okay. And then whenever we get the Inspire, I'm going to be very generous, by the way, on this first test, just simply because y'all don't have the Inspire calculator. And so y'all are kind of not, the kids in class all have the Inspire calculator. And so, like I said, I'm going to be generous. We're going to go back to question 1. Now, unfortunately, our calculators can't work these out. So they can work them out when there's an equal sign, but not an inequality symbol. Now, if you're really good at working these out, then I would even go back and watch Thursday's assignment if you feel like, oh yeah, I could work that out. and make sure you learn all the rules to these. But I'm going to assume that most of you are struggling, because just when I kind of look at everybody's work and stuff like that, a lot of us are struggling right now. So here's the kind of trick that we're going to do here. We're going to go put this in the Desmos calculator, but instead of putting this, we're going to put an equal sign. Now, it's not going to give us the exact answer, but it will tell us the number on the end, okay? And so I'm going to go put this into the Desmos calculator real quick. And I've got the paper right here, so I'm just going to be cheating off the paper. I really got to find a way to reset this. I don't know. I wonder if I can just hit reload if it resets it. There we go. So if you ever need to reset the graph, just hit the reload button right there, and then it'll put it back. I like that. Okay, so we're going to go, oh, and I want you to notice that this right here is using ends. We're not going to use ends in the Desmos. The Desmos can't take that. We're going to use X's. Okay, so anytime we type this in, we're using X's. So we're going to go 8x plus 2 plus 8x. Okay, so here we are putting the equal sign. We are not putting the greater than or less than symbol, all right? And then minus 62. And you can see this red line just popped up right there. And what number is it crossing through? -4. So now we know that our answer has to have a -4. And so here's what's awesome about this. So let me get back to where I can write real quick. So let's say this is like A, B, C, D, right? So it's going to be n is, let's say, less than or equal to -4. A lot of times, like, they're all different numbers. So at this point, what's your answer? Oh, it's got to be A, because we got -4. Okay, and so hopefully that's the case. Hopefully you type that in and all these numbers are different, so it'll tell you the answer. But let's say that there's 2 of these that are -4, but the signs are pointing different directions. Okay, well now at least you know it's either A or D. Okay, if you actually wanted to know how to get this, the rule is that if we don't multiply or divide by a negative, then we keep the sign. So if we multiply or divide by a negative, we would flip it. So that right there would give me 16n, and we would divide by a positive 16. And so I would keep the symbol. Now, a lot of you are probably going, what? What are you talking about? Exactly. It's kind of complicated. And so if you don't understand it, then at least type this into Desmos, and you know it's either A or D. And like I said, if this right here just says, you know, a 1, then you know it's going to be A. And so, and then if it ever says no solution or all real numbers, I would always lean towards no solution. So we look at this one. So anytime it's got the inequality symbol, okay, we're going to replace it with an equal sign, and then we're going to go to the Desmos calculator. Now, I will create a link for you so that you can go to the Desmos calculator, especially on the day of the test, okay? If you ever just need to go to Desmos calculator, if you type in Desmos, which Desmos is Desmos. So if you type in Desmos and then calculator, it'll pop up, okay? So I go to Google and just type that in and it'll pop up. For right now, you can just watch me, okay? And I've got the Desmos calculator right here. So I'm going to clear this out real quick. So let me clear that. And all right, so we're going to type in number 2. Now, I know y'all can't see number 2. And so the day of the test, you would want to write this down on your paper and then switch over to your calculator, okay? I have the assignment right here, so I'm going to go ahead and just type it in. So we got -3, parentheses, X. I know it said P on the problem, but Desmos, you can only put X's and Y's, so we're going to put X. Plus 1, close parentheses, equals 7 plus, 476. All right, so I'm going to go back for just a second. Does everybody see how I typed that right there was number 2, except I put an equal sign right there? Okay. All right. So when we hit enter, we're looking for a line, but I don't see a line. So we start zooming out. Okay, I'm going to zoom out, and I keep zooming out. And right there it is. Y'all see that blue line right there? Okay, so I'm going to use my mouse, and I'm going to drag this kind of to the center, and I'm going to zoom back in. And then if you put your mouse over that and click it, I put my mouse over it and clicked it, you can see the number right there pop up on negative 162. So negative 162 would be the answer. Okay. So give me 1 second. I'm sorry. All right. So right here on number 2, you would write negative 162. Now remember, if this is a multiple choice test, and these right here have to be a multiple choice, okay? I mean, they have to be. Then at this point, you know that it's either, oh, I'm sorry, it's a P. That it's either this symbol or it's this symbol. And so if both of those are options, you just guess, pick one. You got a 50-50 shot of getting it right, okay? If it is, if there's just one of them, like if A, B, C, and D are all different, then whichever one says 162, you know that's your answer, okay? And so it makes these, which are really, really tough, it either gives you the answer or it makes it 50-50. And I like that, man. If you got a 50-50 shot, man, that gives you a chance on everything. Because if we're really working this out and you're not good at working this out, then I'd rather you be good at test taking skills. So let's take a look at this one. So once again, we're going to go type this into Desmos. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to reload this to start my Desmos over. All right. So let's see. We're typing in 3. So I'm going to go minus 8x plus 2 plus 8x, always using x. What am I doing? I'm sorry, that was number 1, plus 2x. I apologize, I got to looking at the wrong thing, plus 96. Okay, so here we put an equal sign, okay, because the calculator doesn't do the inequality symbols, and then minus 5x plus 7x. All right, so that's the problem right there. So just so y'all can see, I typed in this problem right here, but with an equal sign. Okay, we're going to hit enter. Hit enter. All right, so I don't see anything, so we're going to back out. Oh, right there. See that red line? So right there, and if you just go and touch it right there where it touches the x-axis, it'll pop up and it'll say 12, 0. So 12 is our answer right there. Just wherever it touches the x-axis, that's your answer. And like I said, all you got to do with your mouse is go right there and just touch it. Just click on it, and it'll pop up that answer right there. So the answer would be 12. And for right now, let's just leave it at that. So at that point, if it's multiple choice, if there's only one 12, that's the answer. If there's two 12s, then we're picking the one, you've got a 50-50 shot.